Hey everybody, it's Mr. Buro from Staten Island Tech. Today we're going to be talking about using text in AutoCAD. I do want you to understand that text is not really just for annotating something. It can be also used for design work, but primarily it is used for annotating. So for things like dimensions or labels or design notes or simply filling out a title block, you're going to use the text commands to do that. And they operate both in the model space and, of course, in the layout paper space. As I said before, it can also be used for design work, and people seem to think of it that way right away, but it involves a lot more manipulation for that to work properly. So, like if you wanted to display a sign or a marquee on a building, or perhaps make 3D versions of text inside a drawing, you would have to manipulate the text after you type it into the program, of course. So take notice over here, you could actually select the text commands, there's two of them, from the Home tab. But I would prefer that you went to the Annotate tab for this because you could see a lot more options. Before I type anything or use that command, let's take a look at this. This is a little dialog box that pops up and controls what's known as the text styles that are active in the drawing. Every drawing begins with a standard text style and an annotative text style. The annotative text styles, or anything annotative inside a CAD drawing, resizes itself based on your zoom levels or the scale at which you're printing something. Let's stick to standard for a very long time. Really, the only thing you're going to be modifying here is the actual font. And you could have multiple styles running per drawing. So if you wanted some text to appear in the Arial font and some text to appear in the Atlantic Cruise font, you would then have those two styles active, and then as you make a text option or a text element inside AutoCAD, you would choose what style it's referencing. We're going to leave it on Arial. Okay, so first let's go with Single-Line Text. Single-line text sounds simple, and it is simple, and unfortunately it's also very outdated. I wouldn't recommend using single text ever because of how limited the options are when you use it. So if I click on Single-Line Text, you can see it asks me for a start point. You can choose that with the mouse or keyboard, of course. I'll just click over here. Then it prompts me for a text height. You don't pick font sizes here inside AutoCAD. The height of the text when you make it in AutoCAD is determined by the units in AutoCAD. So this is an inch drawing, so right now it's set for 1/2 of an inch, and that's okay with me. But you could also specify it with the mouse. Like if I maybe clicked over here, it was set to whatever I had just clicked, and that's fine. I'll pick 0 for the rotation angle of the text, and this really just appears to rotate the text as you type it, and that's fine, but you really don't have to ever worry about that because you could just rotate the text objects when you finish writing them. So I'll press enter to accept 0, and now I will just type a quick sentence. Type in my name, is Mr. Buro, period. I'll zoom out a little. Then I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, it did actually move to another line. So I'm going to now type the word test, press enter again, and this time I'll press enter one more time to cancel it. So I do have 2 lines here, but I do want you to notice that because I was using single line text, they're separate CAD objects. They have separate properties, and they can be changed or deleted as separate objects for the duration. If I double click on them, you'll see that I can still edit this text, but no real important options come up to help me other than changing the words. So as you'll see very quickly, that's not really what you want to be working with. When I switch to Multiline Text, and I believe the shortcut for Multiline Text is MT for mtext, it's a little bit different. It asks you to specify the first corner, and in this case the first corner is referring to a text box. So if I make a nice text box appear right here, I can then go ahead and use this very, very large text editor that popped up to do quite a few things. It's almost like a word processor now, like Microsoft Word or Google Docs. The first thing I'll do is I'll specify a size. In this case, it's set to 1.8, which is what I clicked before. I'll just change it to 0.25 to make a nice small 1/4 inch font. I'll change the justification to be top left. and I'll just start typing. So I'll keep it simple. Hello, my name is Mr. Buro, period. I'll skip a few lines. I'll type, I am a teacher at Staten Tech. And then I'll just show you kind of like what happens if you pop a lot of wording down and you go to the edge of the text box. You can see that it does go ahead and shrink it down to fit into multiple lines. Let me just hit enter again. Alright, this is the end. So it's kind of weird what's going on here. It kind of popped out, but that's because the text box had to be resized. And you can see that this can be resized however many times as you like to separate columns. The flow will maintain consistent. If I wanted to, perhaps like over here, I could insert a tab. That's very easy if I wanted to do that. Or over here, if I wanted to do that to start a new paragraph. So I'll just write paragraph over here. And you can see that that wasn't a problem. I could quickly change the justification of part of this. So if I highlight this particular part and I pick to just justify it to the center, it actually changes all of the justification for the entire box. However, you can go ahead and change that later, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So for now, take notice of all the things that are editable here. Maybe if you want to grab part of it and make it bold or italics, that's not a problem. Those can coexist inside the same text box. I can underline my name if I want to. That's part of the same text box. And I could do quite a few other things. Maybe I could change coloring over here of part of it, and I could change this coloring into a different part. That's easy enough. And again, this is all one text object, which was not the case before. And this remains editable as long as you like to double click it and do all sorts of things. You could even insert tabs and modify them the same way you would doing as a word processor. You have some bullets and numbering if you want to do lists. You could change line spacing, the number of columns that appear, if they resize themselves, a bunch of symbols, the degree symbol being something that's particularly important. A few other things really give you the chance to make your text appear exactly the way you'd like it to be. There's a button over here to close the text editor. It does the same thing as just clicking off of it. And again, like I was saying before, if you wanted to rotate or something like this, you could just go ahead and click it and then go to the rotate command and rotate it as much as you like. So it didn't have to be something that was rotated in the beginning. So I highly recommend using the Multiline Text function, which you could access over here from the Home tab or here on the left from the Annotation tab. And you'll see quite a few options that are associated with it. Thank you very much.